Friends, welcome back. Previous session we have just completed this computation of income for self-occupied house properties, and we have also briefly discussed how to compute income for let-out house property. We are going to solve a question right now. Going to share the screen with you. Please have a look at this question. Let-out house property concept I had already explained you. I think we'll be able to solve this question. I request some of you to read this question first.
A has a property whose municipal valuation is rupees 1,30,000 per annum.
Okay,
The
friends.
fair rent
This
is rupees
municipal valuation is
1,10,000.
relevant. Do you think municipal valuation is required? Is it relevant in case of a let-out house property? Yes or no?
Yes, sir, it is required
Yes, sir.
because
It is required since it is a let-out. Had it been a self-occupied house property, then it doesn't matter to us. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, please read the next sentence.
The fair rent is rupees 1,10,000 per annum, and the standard rent fixed by the Rent Control Act is rupees 1,20,000 per annum.
Yes. Fair rent is given to you. Standard rent is also given to you. Municipal valuation is also given to you. So you will be able to find out annual value or gross annual value. Next, friends, please read.
The property was let out for a rent of rupees 11,000 per month throughout the previous year.
Throughout the previous year,
Unrealized rent was rupees 11,000 and all conditions prescribed by Rule 4 are satisfied.
Okay. Fine. Unrealized rent is there. We know how to adjust that thing. Then
He paid municipal taxes at 10% of municipal valuation. Interest on borrowed capital was rupees 40,000 for the year. Compute his income from house property for assessment year 2021 to 22.
here you see question has clearly said municipal taxes is 10% on municipal valuation. So municipal valuation is there. So you can find out municipal taxes on that. Even if this is not given, suppose it is given only he paid municipal taxes 10%. Now people may think the 10% will be calculated on what? Is it on spare rent? Is it on standard rent? But since it is a municipal taxes, even if it is not given that 10% on municipal valuation, you are supposed to calculate it on municipal valuation. Okay. Did you understand? Okay.
Yes,
sir.
Here, thankfully, clearly it is told in the question that 10% of municipal valuation. Even if these words are missing, still also you should compute it on municipal valuation. Okay. Now let us quickly solve this question. Question is very simple. So first we have to compute gross annual value. For that thing, we need to compute the reasonable expected rent. Reasonable expected rent is the higher of municipal valuation of 1,30,000 or fair rent of 1,10,000 rupees. But this higher figure should not exceed standard rent of rupees 1,20,000. So how much I should take? 1,30,000, 1,10,000. Whichever is higher. What is higher? 1,30,000, 1,10,000.
1,30,000.
1,30,000, but that should not exceed 110, 120. That should not exceed
120.
120.
So we have to take reasonable expected rent. How much? 120.
1,20,000.
1,20,000. Okay. Now we'll come to actual rent. Actual rent, how to compute actual rent received and receivable is throughout the year 1,32,000. It is given in the question. But there is an unrealized rent of 11,000. Okay. So my view is that, or view of many authors is that we should deduct unrealized rent from actual rent. Okay. As per Rule 4, if these conditions are compliant, then we have to deduct. So we have to arrive actual rent is 1,32,000 minus unrealized rent. How much it is?
1,21,000.
1,20,000. Okay. So this should be the right view. But however, as I told you, when we are filing income tax return, the form is prescribed in such a way That unrealized rent is not deducted here. Unrealized rent is deducted where? From the gross annual value. Okay, so just keep that thing in the mind, but for academic purpose, ignore that thing. Just you have to remember unrealized rent has to be deducted at this stage. Okay, is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, third step is that you have to compare reasonable expected rent with actual rent received or recoverable. Okay, and we have to compare means this is 1,20,000, this is 1,21,000. Whichever is higher, this one is higher. Okay, so gross annual value is the higher of reasonable rent and actual rent received and receivable. So what figure I should take? 1,21,000. Is it not? So now we have arrived at the gross annual value 1,21,000. And from that, what is deductible? First deduction is municipality taxes. Municipality taxes, if it is paid, question says it is paid. So 10% of 1,30,000. So 13,000 has to be deducted. Okay,
Yes, sir.
right? Okay. Now, net annual value is how much? After
1,08,000.
1,08,000. Okay. Now 30% of then two deductions under section 24, 24A, 24B. First deduction is 30% of net annual value. So how much is to be deducted? 30% of 1,08,000. Okay. 32,400. Right?
Yes, sir.
Then one more deduction, that is interest on borrowed capital. And here you see there is no ceiling limit. Question says 40,000, so you have to deduct 40,000. Okay, so these two things taken together, how much it is? 72,400 rupees has to be deducted. Consequently, the income from house property is how much?
35,600.
35,600. Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes,
now,
sir.
friends, let us let us change this example. Suppose the interest and borrowed capital is not 40,000. This is 2,40,000. So how much rupees you will take it? Assuming that interest and borrowed capital is 2,40,000. Did you understand my question? Then how much will be deducted here?
Yes.
Total amount, sir.
2,40,000. Is it not?
Yes, sir.
In that case, what will happen? You see 2,40,000 plus 32,000. So 2,72,400 rupees will be deducted. Is it not? 2,72,400 will be deducted from
But then
1,08,000.
that's
So what will be the result?
Negative.
There will
1
be
lakh
loss.
something.
There will be loss of how much? 1,64,400. Okay, this concept is clear to you?
yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you have to remember, if it is a self-occupied property, you have to take it up to 2 lakh rupees only. But if it is a let-out property, do not keep any limit. The entire amount will be deducted. Is it clear to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, is it clear to you? But however,
Yes,
there
sir.
is again, yeah, any query you have?
Sir, can we put negative figure in that income from house property?
Yes. Now you are asking me to put right now, or you are asking whether it is
No.
possible.
No, whether it's possible or not.
Yes, it is possible. Okay, it is very well possible. You can have negative income under income from house property, and many people who are having housing loan, they have negative income under that income from house property. Many people who are having housing loan. Okay, many people who are having self-occupied house property. Let us say you also imagine, suppose you have only one house and you have taken a housing loan. Did you understand? You have only one house
Yes,
and you
sir.
have taken a housing loan. Okay, interest you will be paying and the annual value is nil. nil you are paying interest, so definitely there will be loss. Yes or no? There will be loss or not?
Yes, sir, got it.
Yes, it is always
Yes,
possible.
sir.
But if it is self-occupied house property, maximum loss is 2 lakh rupees. And in case of a let out property, there is no limit. But there is again one more thing. I was supposed to tell you after some time, but right now, since you have raised this question. But again, while filing the return, you will find in case of let out property also, as I told you, interest is allowed without a ceiling. But in the same year, you cannot claim loss for interest more than 2 lakh rupees. That means, suppose in this example, I told you something situation, let us say you are paying interest of, let us say 5 lakh rupees. So 5 lakh rupees you can claim. Is it not? If it is a let out property, you can claim up to 5 lakh rupees.
Yes, sir. There
But
is no limit. So
But even if it is a let out property, in the 1 year, you can set up only to the extent of 2 lakh rupees. That means remaining 3 lakh rupees will be carried forward to subsequent years. That means in the subsequent years, up to 8 assessment years, you can carry it forward. In other periods, it will be adjusted. Did you understand?
okay, sir.
Yes.
Sir,
Yes,
but in
sir.
that way, if the
Yes.
loan payment paying, suppose it is me, I'm paying loan say for 15 years,
Yes.
loan interest 15 years. Then
Yes.
if all the 15 years there is carry forward, that may lead to 25 or 30 years. Then, if we means keep on carrying forward.
Yeah. In that case, you might have to lose some interest. Okay, if it is adjusted, you are unable to adjust in the subsequent years, you might have to lose some interest benefit. Did you understand? Let me tell you that provision first. Okay, up to this it is clear. Now read this slide, it will be
Yes,
more
sir.
clear to you. Okay, so this concept of maximum even limiting up to 2 lakh rupees in a year, it came from financial year 2017-18. Prior to that, you are able to take any amount. But from financial year 2017 and 18, okay, the setup of losses has been restricted to 2 lakh rupees. And maximum loss can be 2 lakh rupees. Okay, so if a taxpayer is having self-acquired property, then it doesn't matter to him, because for him anyway it is limited to 2 lakh rupees. But the taxpayer is having let out property, then it matters to him. Okay, so though there is no bar on the amount of home loan interest that can be claimed as a deduction under section 24 for a rented house property, the losses which could rise on account of such interest payment can be set up only to the extent of 2 lakh rupees. Did you understand? But the unobserved loss can be carried forward for 8 assessment years. But if you are unable to adjust that unobserved loss also in this 8 assessment years, you might have to lose it. Did you understand?
So beyond 8
Yes, sir.
years, say suppose it is 15-year loan payment period.
Yeah.
So 15 plus 8, maximum up to 23 years it can go.
Yes.
Beyond 23 year, we'll have to lose that.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. Did you understand this concept? But this is again for the time being, for academic purpose learning, and at your level, I will request you to forget this thing or just keep it in the mind. Just you remember that self-acquired, let out house property, there is no selling limit. Okay. There is no selling limit, you can claim it. But when you file the return, you can find that it is taking only up to 2 lakh rupees and other amount is carried forward to the subsequent years. This is for your information. Okay. Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, friends. Now we'll go to the next type of house property, that is deemed to be let out house property. Okay. So what is this deemed to be let out house property? In case more than 2 self-occupied houses there, right? Any 2 of them shall be treated as self-occupied and others shall be deemed to be let out. As we had discussed earlier, let us say assessee is having 3 self-occupied houses. Okay, so he may choose any 2 of them as self-occupied and the third one will be treated as deemed to be let out. Okay, it is a choice of the assessee. He may choose any houses, any two houses. Okay, and this option can be changed year after year. Suppose first year he can choose house A and house B. Second year he can choose house B and house C. Third year he can choose house C and house A. That is up to him, right? So naturally, assessor will choose it in such a way that it is more beneficial to him. Okay, if the annual value is more, he will choose. He will like to treat that house property as self-occupied, so that annual value will be nil. Okay, so this is how it will happen. In case deemed to be let out house property, assessee has to choose any two of them as self-occupied, and others will be treated as a deemed to be let out house. And here, since it is deemed to be let out house, that means actually it is not let out. Actually, it is a let out, self-occupied, but it is deemed to be let out house. There will not be any actual rent, and there will be no unrealized rent, isn't it? So the reasonable expected rent shall be treated as gross annual value. So we need not compare it with the actual rent, because actual rent is actually not there. So only reasonable rent has to be considered for computation of gross annual value. After that, it will be treated just like a let out property. Understood? So deemed to be let out house properties are again just like let out house property. Only difference is that there is no actual rent, there is no unrealized rent, there is no vacancy. All these concepts are not there. Only reasonable expected rent has to be taken, and that shall be treated as gross annual value. And after that, it will be treated just like a let out house. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So expected rent shall be taken as GAV. The question of considering actual rent received or receivable doesn't arise. No adjustment for vacancy, no adjustment for unrealized rent. Okay, it is treated just like a let out house. Since it is a let out house, municipal taxes actually paid by the owner can be claimed. Municipal taxes can be claimed because it is a let out house. It is not a self-occupied house. We are treating it just like a let out house. So municipality taxes can be claimed. Interest and borrowed money can be claimed. Okay, standard deduction of 30% for repair and maintenance is also can be claimed. All these things can be claimed. Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. This is about deemed to be let out house. Right. Fourth kind of house which we are going to cover is about unoccupied house. Okay. What is unoccupied house? Where the property is self-occupied for own residence or unoccupied through. Okay, this thing first of all we'll understand the first paragraph. Then I will tell you what is the meaning of unoccupied house property. So we already know that when the property is self-occupied for own residence or unoccupied throughout the previous year, its annual value shall be nil. Okay, annual value is nil provided no other benefit is derived. If the house is, let us say, rented out, then there is some income. That's a different thing. Otherwise, for a self-occupied house or unoccupied house, annual value shall be nil. And you also know maximum one can claim two houses like this. And now let us understand what is unoccupied house. Okay, it means a house property which cannot be occupied by the owner by reason of his employment, business, or profession at a different place. Let us say assessee is working at a different place, doing business at a different place, or practicing in a different place. Because of his employment, business, and profession, he is staying at a different place. And his house is in a different place. Then he cannot stay. Okay, because of which it is unoccupied. Or, okay, because of which it is unoccupied. And one more condition, he resides in such other places in a building not belonging to him. In that place, he is staying in a different house which is not belonging to him. Let us say someone house is at city A, but he's working in city B, and there he's staying in a rented house. Then the house in city A shall be treated as an unoccupied house. Did you understand this? What is unoccupied house?
Yes.
Okay. Now, what is the treatment? Okay. So, assessee has one or two residential house meant for self-occupied. Okay. This is the condition, cannot be self-occupied due to his employment. Such houses are lying vacant and no other benefits are derived. Okay, and assessee resides in that house not belonging to whom, belonging to him. If these conditions are met, then for that unoccupied house, net annual value shall be treated as nil. That means they'll be treated just like a self-occupied house. Standard deduction is also nil. Interest on borrowed capital is 30,000 or 2 lakh as the case may be. You know in which case it is 30,000, in which case it is 2 lakh. So income from property can be negative. Negative here means negative maximum to the extent of 2 lakh rupees. Okay, that means it is just like a self-occupied house. Okay, but if the assessee is already claiming benefit under self-occupied house, again he cannot claim here. Maximum 2 houses. Let us say 1 self-occupied house, 1 unoccupied house, or 2 self-occupied houses, or 2 unoccupied houses. But it should not be more than that. Okay, the benefit of nil annual value is available only up to 2 self-occupied or unoccupied houses, and that too for individuals and HUFs. Individuals and HUFs can take this nil annual value only for 1 self-occupied house, or for 2 self-occupied house, or 2 unoccupied house, or 1 unoccupied house, or 1 unoccupied house and 1 self-occupied house. Maximum 2 houses can claim. Okay, that means here you have to see that unoccupied houses shall also be treated just like a self-occupied house. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, next category of house is the partly self-occupied, partly let out. This also we had discussed previous class. When you say partly self-occupied, partly let out, it can be area-wise partly self-occupied or time-wise partly self-occupied. Area-wise means half of the house, let us say, self-occupied, half of it is let out. Or time-wise means, let us say, 10 months it is self-occupied, 2 months it is let out. Okay, it can be area-wise, that is time-wise also. So half is let out, half is self-occupied. Okay, the person which is let out, that also for certain months, that is also self-occupied. So it can be area-wise as well as time-wise. When it is area-wise segregated, that is area-wise partly self-occupied or partly let out. So we have to treat that house as if there are 2 different houses. Income shall be computed separately for both the houses. Okay, so as if there are 2 separate houses, we have to treat, and separate income has to be computed. And reasonable rent, that is reasonable rent, municipal taxes, interest, etc., shall be divided in proportion to area. On the basis of area, these expenses has to be distributed. Actual rent received or receivable only for the unrealized, only for the let out portion, because if self-occupied portion, there will be no actual. So while comparing the reasonable rent with the actual rent, you have to take the actual rent only for the let out portion. Okay, so this is how to do in case of it is area-wise partly self-occupied, partly let out. So municipal valuation, fair rent, standard rent, if they are not given separately, there needs to be a portion between the let out portion and self-occupied portion, either on plinth area basis or built up floor space basis or such other reasonable basis. Suppose one municipal taxes has been paid for both the portions. So on certain basis, you have to distribute how much is for self-occupied house, how much is for let out. Self-occupied house shall be treated like a self-occupied house, and let out house shall be treated just like a let out house. Okay, so whenever these taxes are paid on consolidated basis, that can be bifurcated. One has to split that. Right? Now, if it is time-wise partly self-occupied or partly let down, we have to understand this thing. There will be no benefit for self-occupied period. It will be treated just like a letted house, just like a let out house. And while arriving at the actual rent, we have to take for the let out period only. Because actual rent only will be for the let out period. Right? And since we are treating it just like a let out house, we have to calculate reasonable rent for the whole year, actual rent for the let out period. So gross annual value, We have to compare these things, reasonable rate and actual rate, whichever is higher. Right? Okay. And if step 2 is less than the step 1 due to vacancy period, this also we know. Then step 2, that is actual rent, shall be treated as the gross annual value. Okay. So if actual rent is less because of vacancy, then actual rent shall be treated as gross annual value. Self-occupied period cannot be treated as vacant period. It is self-occupied, it cannot be treated as a vacant period. So entire period shall be treated as self-occupied. If fair rent is not available, the same shall be computed using actual rent basis. Municipal taxes for the whole year shall be allowed because the entire house we are taking it as a rent out house. So municipal taxes for the whole year shall be allowed. This is how we have to treat when the house is partly self-occupied and partly let out. Did you understand this?
Yes, sir.
Yes or no?
So can you please repeat?
This part, time-wise, right?
This, yes, sir.
Okay. So if time-wise, the house is partly self-occupied and partly let out, right? That means, let us say it is 8 months self-occupied, 4 months it is let out. So if this is the kind of situation, the house shall be treated as a let-out house. It will not be treated as self-occupied house. Okay, it will be treated as if it is completely let out. So what we will do here, we'll calculate reasonable rent for the whole year. Actual rent is available for the let-out period only. We cannot do anything for that. So actual rent will take. So you have to take reasonable rent and actual rent, whichever is higher. Normal process. Okay. And however, because of vacancy, if actual rent is lower, then we have to take the actual. Okay. Otherwise, we have to take the actual rent and reasonable rent, whichever is higher. Okay. Right. So once that is done, we know the gross annual value. Then we have to deduct the municipal taxes for the whole year. You have to deduct because it is completely let out. You have to deduct municipal taxes. You have to arrive at the net annual value. Then usual deductions. Okay, standard deduction of 30% and interest on borrowed money, borrowed fund without any limit. That we have to deduct. This is how we can compute the income from house property for partly self-occupied and partly let out. Did you understand it now?
Yes, sir.
And when it is area-wise as well as time-wise, then both the features of area-wise and time-wise shall be applied. That means area-wise, it has to be treated as two different houses. For time-wise, we have to treat it as if it is let out. Okay, so what we will learn, this is how we have to do it. Okay, so lastly, one more kind of house property, that is house property which is held as stock in trade. So we need to understand that annual value of the house property shall be charged under the head income from house property, even if when the house is held as stock in trade. So annual value shall be chargeable to income tax under the head income from house property. Okay, but however, you have to remember the annual value of the property or the part of the property shall be nil up to 2 years from the end of the financial year when the certificate of completion of construction of property is obtained from the competent authority. That means for 2 years, the annual value of such property, which is kept as stock in trade, can be nil. Okay, but after that, the annual value shall be the real annual value. So this is the treatment when house property shall be treated as stock in trade. Okay, friends, there are few other issues like property held outside India or overall deductions on realized rent and few other issues we'll do. So I propose that what we'll do, we'll stop here right now. Then again, next class, maybe will be a very quick recapitulation of all these 6 items. Then we'll be learning the other things. We'll try to complete this chapter in our next session. Okay. Do you have any query? Any doubt you have up to this?
No, sir.
Okay. So we'll stop here today. We'll catch up again in the next class. So remaining part we are going to complete. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.